Are you a founder looking for a CTO to join your startup? Or are you just looking to maximize the impact of the CTO? If so, this video on the role of a CTO in a tech startup should help you. I'm Sam Wong, and I'm a startup CEO coach. I've done 5 startups with 3 exits. I was a CTO or a technical VP for 4 of these startups, and a CEO for the 5th one. I wrote a book on startup execution, and I built a library of training classes for founders. This video is a snippet of a 45-minute talk I gave on great techie versus great CTO, which is one of the free classes I have on our fundablestartups.com website. Let's dive in.
Sam, that was fascinating to hear your journey in all these different positions you've had in these companies. But I have to ask you, one of the hardest things that startups have to face is raising funds. Now, the CTO of a tech startup is known for product development, but how important is the CTO in fundraising?
Yeah, it's interesting because in a technical startup, after the CTO might be the second most important role for early stage fundraising. If you look at the other key roles in a typical startup, like a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, a Chief Revenue Officer, the Chief Financial Officer, the Chief Operating Officer, or the Chief Product Officer, a lot of chiefs in there, which is another issue all itself. But if you look at all those potential roles, these chiefs or their VP or director level equivalents, oftentimes in a technical startup, the CTO role tends to be the one that the investors focus on the most. In fact, I have met a number of investors who say they won't invest in a tech startup where they don't believe that the startup has a strong CTO role in place. So because of this, the CTO is investor facing. Maybe not in the first investor conversation, but definitely in follow-on investor conversations. The CTO will want to present well to be able to persuade the investor that the team is in good hands.
Sam, actually, I'm pretty impressed because honestly, I didn't know the CTO really did that many things. So you're telling me they just don't build product, but really they are key to the fundraising. Now, I also have to ask, what other responsibilities that a startup CTO has?
Yeah, there are definitely a number of other responsibilities that a CTO has. It's not an internal only role. Unlike maybe a VP of engineering role, the CTO has a much larger responsibility to face the public, which may include investors, customers, future employees, and in some situations, even the press and analysts. So the CTO is maybe half technical and a half business role.
Okay, now that we've established that the CTO really is outward facing, really is out there getting the confidence of the investors, the customers, how does the role of the CTO change over time in the life of a startup? I mean, for example, today the startup has 10 people, but tomorrow maybe it has 50 or 100. How does it change during this growth?
You know, Shawn, you raise a good point here. When I said earlier that the CTO is half technical and half business, I actually oversimplified it. If you look over the life of a typical startup, when the startup is small, maybe just 5 employees or so, the CTO is probably 80% technical and 20% business. But as the company continues to grow, maybe to 25 and 50 employees, the CTO role starts to become maybe just 50-50, 50% technical and 50% business. And when the company grows past 100 employees, it can be 20-80, 20% technical and 80% business. So it's important to be able to make sure that you have someone who can grow in the CTO role as the needs of the CTO changes from being a frontline developer to being someone who's really a technical business leader.
I hope this video helps you sharpen your search for a CTO, or if you already have a CTO, helps you provide a roadmap of the nature of the CTO role in a tech startup. If you want to watch the entire 45-minute class on great techie versus great CTO, head on over to our fundablestartups.com website where you can watch it at your convenience for free.